This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome to WISH-TV's Business, Equity, and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. This show is designed for entrepreneurs to educate, inform, and provide necessary skills to start and run a successful small business. What sets us apart? The information is coming from successful business owners and community leaders who've all lived the small business dream. Our goal is to provide useful and compelling content that focuses on diversity, equity, and opportunities. Every show will have 7 segments, all designed to cover the most important and often misunderstood topics you need when starting a small business. Here you'll be able to watch the show every week, and you can access all of our content and share it on demand anytime at beoshow.com. Our site will continue to grow as the weeks go on with new information and content, so let's get started. Matthew Murphy III is the founder of Emboss Partners of Indianapolis. He advises entrepreneurial businesses and nonprofits to help them achieve success. Getting started in business involves so many parts. Matthew Murphy III, founder of Emboss Partners, talks about one of the most important parts: commitment.
I think you have to start with a very strong commitment to the journey. I say that because it ain't as easy as it looks. And there are a lot of successful people who make it look easy. I heard it said several times by different people. The idea is to start a 5-year-old business. It can't happen. You can't get that kind of knowledge and experience until you've kind of built the roadmap toward the journey. And so I think getting started first starts with the commitment to weather the ups and downs, because there will be many. Early stage companies just have challenges, and all businesses in the early stages have those kinds of challenges of resources and people and getting customers fast enough, and sometimes the idea is, we're going to do a business plan. We're going to show this to be a compelling story, and it's going to look really, really incredibly successful. But most of the time, it doesn't come as fast as you think, and it's going to cost more than you think. And the profitability is going to take longer than you think. And so I guess that leads me to the number 2 item, and that being a very, very comprehensive business plan. The business plan is to be seen as a tool, not a document that checks a box. I see it as a roadmap for the business owner, but also kind of a tool to validate to third parties what your business is, what is it expected to do, who the competition is, what are the industry dynamics, and then all of the what ifs. What if a pandemic hits, as we've learned, in 2020 and forward? What if there's a tight labor market? What if there are spiraling interest rates? What does the economic environment do to the business's ability to grow as the owner would like it to? So a good business plan is more than just a document that's created so that someone can read it and decide whether or not to provide financial resources. It really should serve as that, but also, more importantly, shows anybody who reads it that we understand the dynamics of this industry and the business itself and the resources needed, and that's both financial and human capital, and the direction that we'd like to go from wherever the starting point is to what the owner thinks success should be. So commitment, business planning, and then assembling great people. I've never met an entrepreneur who could do it all. Business is really about, it's just really another way of saying team. And you can assemble a good team, you have a chance to win. So.
If you'd like more information on this or any of our business equity and opportunities, visit our website, beoshow.com. When we come back, leadership coach and founder of Champ CEO, Gary Brackett, has tips on how you can find the funds to get your business started. This is Business Equity and Opportunities on WISH-TV. We'll be right back.
Getting started, made possible by the Indiana Economic Development Corporation. This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Access to capital is one of the most important challenges for anyone considering starting their own business. Leadership coach and Champ CEO Gary Brackett puts his perspective on how you can access needed capital to get your business started.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Access to capital.
Securing funds for a new business sometimes means taking a few extra steps to get noticed. Former Colts linebacker and Super Bowl champ Gary Brackett knows a thing or two about the steps to getting started and access to funding a new business.
All right, we're inside of Champ Studios, where I have a production studio, speakers, TVs, all the things that you need in order to run your business. However, if you're starting your business, how do you fund it? How do you go to an investor and prove to them that your ideal is actually worth investing in? Well, first, I would advise you to start small. I know it looks good, what you see here, this equipment, but it took time for me to build up to this. And it's gonna take time for you to build up to your business as well. And I think the best way to show an investor that you're a viable business is to actually start with an MVP. What that stands for is minimal viable product. What product or service that you're offering could you start off small, build some numbers, build some clients, prove to them with some financials that this model is going to work, and then come to them with an ideal that's already been proven. That way, not only will you get better investment terms, and someone's going to be investing in your business not as a risk, not as an ideal, but actually as a model that has been proven. So you're going to get better terms. In addition to that, you're going to get more people actually interested and offer you some type of investment because you went out there, you did the work, you proved the model to them. So when they're looking at your ideal, it's no longer something that's just in your head, no longer something that's on paper, it's something that's actually running, it's providing a service or a product for someone, and they have proof behind that with that number that you go back up. It's gonna let them feel a lot more at ease in terms of making that risky investment inside of your business. Again, just make sure when you're starting off, start off small. You don't have to swing through the fences all up front. Prove your model out, do the work, put it in that sweat equity up front, so then you can build your value, build your equity. You're gonna get better terms, you get more people wanting to invest inside of your business.
New small businesses are sprouting up all over central Indiana. LISC Indianapolis is a community development financial institution that offers loans and equity products and is a resource for people trying to access capital. Dr. David Hampton of LISC Indianapolis offers words of encouragement for entrepreneurs.
So I was a pastor for 20 years and very community and collaborative minded, and always spoke and preached about economic empowerment, economic resiliency. Our church was oftentimes a hub for the community to hold discussions. And then I served as deputy mayor for 5 years with the Hawkshead administration. And I saw the opportunities to marry policy with some of the things that I taught and spoke about. And I thought, wow, this is a practical way to sort of ensure that services are actually getting to underserved neighborhoods. And so I moved from politics to now philanthropy, and working with LISC is a wonderful opportunity for me to sort of marry all of those roles into one vision and passion, which again ultimately is economic opportunity and access to capital in our underserved communities. I think you really have to again follow your passions, and work doesn't feel like work when it's something you love. So, I always share with individuals who have a business, your business is a part of you. And so you have to really find the time to do the proper self-care. Because, when you're running a business, it's really a 24-hour a day, 7-day-a-week operation. But you have to find those important times to do self-care, because, you can't pour from an empty cup. And there are only so many resources out there, so take your time, pace yourself, and really do the self-care. That's what I would emphasize. I think the key is just never give up. You have to learn how to view every obstacle as a potential opportunity. Find the opportunities in your obstacles, because there are going to be many along the way, and especially when you're a business owner. This is your baby. This is something that you have birthed, right? This is something that has lived with you and an outgrowth of you. So you know what's best for you. And so you have to look for opportunities that work for you, and those that don't, you have to, know how to move on. Some doors are gonna get shut in your face, and that's okay. Keep knocking, but never give up. I think that's the key for every business owner. Never give up. Many businesses fail, but some of the greatest success stories come from, the greatest failures. Failure is not final, and a delay is not a denial. So those are the two things that I would, certainly want to say to encourage every listener.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. This Week in Business.
Welcome back to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Let's talk cybersecurity. It has become clear hackers can bring your business to a screeching halt in a millisecond. Nobody knows that better than Roosevelt Smith, who helps us keep things safe and secure here at WISH-TV's Chief Technology Officer for Circulus Digital Media. Thanks for spending time with us away from your task again of all the digital safety that we have. As you think about people starting a business, entrepreneurs, what do you want them to know about the state of your art?
I think it's most common that as an entrepreneur, you get into the fact of wanting to grow your business as quickly as possible, but you often forget those pitfalls and how individuals that are out there to take advantage of you, you want to be careful of those things. So it's just helpful to put your arms around your entire business from a cybersecurity standpoint.
If you were to walk somebody through that process, first getting them to understand just how clear and present this danger is, what would you first want them to look out for? Is it data? Is it their devices? Kind of a combination of everything?
Absolutely, yeah. I think the first thing is just phishing emails. I mean, that's one of the most vulnerable attacks that a lot of hackers use. And then also just watching out for a lot of things that want to take your money. Business loans, there's a lot of spam out there and phishing out there for that as well. Hey, we'll give you $10,000 to sign up to get started. So you just want to make sure you take you build a really good verification process and take those necessary steps, and don't deviate from that.
Is it a fair statement to say the things that we do in our personal lives to keep us safe might be applicable on the business side as well? For instance, I've become finally over the years accustomed to, if I didn't initiate the contact, cut it off and then reach out, and if they actually exist and that's a real person, then that might be a relationship worth pursuing. Is that true for business as well?
Absolutely, yes. You always want to do your research and try to verify as much information on that particular company or individual as possible.
Social media is something, again, on the personal side we use a lot. You say there's some vulnerabilities built in on the business side.
Absolutely. Large social networks like Facebook and Twitter and Instagram, etc. Those things are just, teeming with spam and phishing experts. So you want to be, aware of fake profiles and spamming attacks, and look for, you don't want to open up everything either. Someone sends you a friend request and say they're a part of a business opportunity, do your research. Look them up on LinkedIn, look them up on other verified sources before you engage into that conversation.
Particularly for first-time business owners, there is probably an instinct to say, I want to do this perfectly. You think it's important for folks to understand, inevitably, digitally, you will, and your phrase is, bump your head.
That's correct. You're going to have pitfalls. You're going to, you're going to crash and burn, and it's an unfortunate statement to make, but it's a learning curve. You have to learn how to avoid these types of things. And like I said, I just go back to the process. Build in your process for verification, do your homework, do your research, and you'll be successful.
Data is so important. When we talk about data, that can mean a number of things.
Correct.
But when it comes to the customer relationship, their data is as important, maybe more so than your own data.
Absolutely. When you're dealing with consumer data, especially on the programmatic side or on the financial side of things, there are a lot of laws that come into play, both on a state and federal level. So it's really important that you, once again, do your homework, do your research. Cybersecurity Council of Indiana is a great resource to use to understand how to not only store customer information, but also make sure that everything is behind lock and key. If you're dealing with any credit card information or anything of that nature, you want to make sure you hand that off to the credit card provider so that you mitigate your risk for any sort of attack.
Is there a relationship that you want to develop with your customers so that if they were to say, hey, how do I know that this is going to stay safe? You'll have those answers ready.
That's correct. That's correct. Yes. So it goes back to that whole trust to verify process. Understanding how to, initially set the tone with your customers and have them make sure that they're at a comfort level where they're willing to share their data with you.
On the other side of all of this all sounds very intimidating if it's not part of the world that we're in right now.
Correct.
It's your world all the time, but should it scare someone away from small business, or do you think this is manageable?
No, absolutely. You can manage this, in one night's sleep, as I like to say it. Do your research, look into, finding a mentor, and just enjoy business. Cybersecurity is just something that's often behind the scenes, but very important, but it is manageable.
Roosevelt Smith, thank you.
No problem at all. Thank you.
If you would like more information, you can always go to beoshow.com.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. I'm Scott Sander. Buying a franchise may be a great option for entrepreneurs who like the idea of getting a head start with an established model. But not all franchises are created equal. Here's Ron Jordan to sort out the facts.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Accounting and bookkeeping.
How much capital do you need for a franchise? Ron Jordan, CEO of Jordan Hospitality Group, talks about the costs and what some franchises already include that could save you time and money.
Personal savings and net worth. Those are always going to be challenges. Anybody that's starting new, right? It's a challenge. Because I'll tell you, when I first got into the Popeyes business as one of the owners, I didn't have the personal net worth that was required. I had to put together a group that got there, right? I had to be creative. I had to learn, financing through the SBA. There was a lot of mechanisms, though, that are within your local government that will help you get to a point where you can achieve what's needed in order to grab a franchise of some kind. So when you look at it, some of the most successful McDonald's owners, for instance, right, all started out as dishwashers or cooks or managers, got into their program and really understood how to build equity within themselves over time. Well, that's no different today, right? You have to build the equity blocks every day in your own life. Put some money away, put yourself in a position where you've got a group that's going to help mitigate that risk for you, and then write a plan. If you don't have a plan that's effective, you're not going to be able to work that plan, right? So if you put that stuff together, as well as putting money aside and things like that, it puts you in a position where then you're able to go out and get what you need, at least in the franchise world. In terms of being an independent, that's a much different conversation for a different day. But in terms of my world, that's how you got to do it. Just put together the right plan, the right group, and make sure you're understanding how to build equity within yourself and your team. Every brand has a different initial investment. You usually want to have at least $1 million net worth. That's typically where you want to be, right? And if it's not you by yourself, it's you and 2 or 3 other people that you can combine your personal financial statement and get to $1 million in net worth. Outside of that, I think it's looking at the franchise disclosure documents, which every major franchise company has, and understanding what that investment looks like, and then adding a little bit to it, just for a margin of error, right? Understanding that if they tell you you need $100,000 of working capital, maybe you try to get $200,000. Once you get to that point of understanding that, it puts you in a good space. So when you have a little rainy day, which we always do, it puts you in a position where that rainy day doesn't flood you in and put you out of business. So those are some key pieces that I would look at as I was starting up again, just to make sure, I avoid some of the pitfalls that are inevitable in this business.
Once you determine the cost to get started, Ron recommends you take time to learn more about the ongoing costs.
We've been a small business. We're still a small business technically, right? We have 20 locations. We're under that mid-market cap in terms of our annual revenues. We're close. But going from an independent, where we were 25 employees, one thing I can tell you is you have to have a plan for scale and growth, and it has to be responsible, right? So you have to look at that, you have to understand it. As you do, you also have to learn as an owner how to operate individually when you need to, and then how to get out of the weeds when it's also necessary. I think a lot of independent operators, which a lot of managers do as well, is they're doers, right? They've been doing it, doing it. Super hard workers. They get up every day at the same time, have a routine, and go in and complete their task. Well, you can't do that when you get to a certain place in your life, right? Like today, we have 20 locations here in Indianapolis. I can't get up at 7 in the morning every day, go to 20 locations, turn ovens and exhaust fans on and get started. You can't do it. You have to employ people to be able to do that. Then you have to try to find the right people that have the right amount of autonomy and a right understanding of the business in general to be able to get up and know this is their business every day. So that's the biggest transition piece, I think, for owners, is to go from that independent to now having to manage people and process versus having just to manage the business before. That's a big swing. A lot of people really struggle with that. I'll be honest with you, my father, he's an operator, great operator. He really struggled when we got from that 1 to 2 units, that 2 to 3 units, that 3 to 5 units, and then 6 eventually. He was still trying to do everything. And I was like, hey, let's take a look at this differently. Of course, as a father-son dynamic, it's always tough, right? You got the son trying to tell the father how to do something, but the challenge for him was looking at it from a systematic approach, right? Understanding that we can't manage every napkin and plate and cup and ketchup packet that goes out the drive-through window. Instead, let's put together a model where we have a margin of error in terms of our cost. We look at that cost, we back into it, we get an understanding of what we can afford and what we can't, and we manage that P&L, and we manage that process versus trying to individually manage that crew member. That is a big struggle for a lot of folks coming out of the independent operation. So hopefully you have a plan for that, and you're able to then, with your own mindset, go from that 100-foot view up to 10,000 feet. And if you can manage that, then you can be successful.
Our thanks to Ron Jordan for those financial insights. You're watching WISH-TV's Business Equity and Opportunities, our new show designed for people interested in starting their own small business. For more information on all of our topics, check out our website, beoshow.com. You can access all of our segments and resources on demand, and keep checking that information as it grows throughout the year. When we come back, local business icon John Thompson talks supply and demand.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back. Local businessman John Thompson is the chairman and CEO of 4 Indianapolis companies. He's been an entrepreneur since 8 years old. He shares some of his personal insights on deciding what kinds of goods and services you may want to pursue for your new business.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Running your business day to day
When you're deciding what goods and services your business will provide, it's important to effectively identify the needs of your target customers. Is there a need for what you're selling? John Thompson, Chairman and CEO of Thompson Distribution Company, talks about how he chooses his products and services for maximum success.
I'm that peddler. I'm that little 8-year-old kid still peddling. I've always sold to a known need. I don't satisfy latent needs. What's a latent need? There's no such thing as a cell phone, and someone comes along trying to sell you a cell phone, and you haven't used it in the past, or you've been doing pink slips. You know, you go to lunch and someone takes a message for you and leave pink slips in your box or on your desk, and then you come in and return the calls. But here's a guy telling you you need voicemail. That's a latent need. You need voicemail, but you don't know it. I don't satisfy latent needs. I only satisfy known needs. I've done that since I was an 8-year-old kid. You know you need food. I sell food. You know when that light goes out, you need to replace something because you need that light. You know it. And you may not know who you're going to buy it from, and that's where I come in. I want to put myself in a position that you choose to buy it from me. But I don't have to convince you that you need it. I like selling to businesses because they're professional buyers. That buyer is paid to buy those products, know what they need, and know the criteria that they're going to use. So I'm going to go in and understand the criteria that they're using to make their decision. And I'm going to put myself in a position to best satisfy that criteria. Now, where's our footprint? If you're landing at Indianapolis International Airport, the lighting, the plumbing supplies that you see in the bathrooms, we supplied those. Those big decorative steel pillars holding up that arched roof, we supplied those. You're in Lucas Oil Stadium, those large fans, we supplied those fans to Lucas Oil Stadium. Thompson Distribution. First Electric Supply supplied the lighting. BC Countertops, Beyond Countertops supplied those cabinets and countertops in the suites. And we didn't distribute those, we fabricated those a quarter mile from here. We fabricated those, and then someone else installed them, but we fabricated those particular items. My engineering company designed the plumbing system in the bathrooms, in the convention center. So when you go in there, it seems simple to you, but when you flush that toilet and it flushed properly, or you turn on the faucet and that hot water comes out, there's a fair amount of technology to make that happen in large buildings. And so my engineering company did that. Marion County Community Justice Center that's just opening now over on the near southeast side. My engineering company did a fair amount of design there. My electrical supply company supplied a lot of the electrical products. My plumbing supply company supplied a lot of the plumbing products and the construction materials, the drywall, the roofing materials. And we store a lot of that in our warehouses. We store some here in this First Electric warehouse. We store some at Thompson Distribution. And then we have a big construction warehouse at Rule and Roosevelt, where we store construction supplies that then gets delivered to the job sites. Many others, if you're at the Game Bridge, we've supplied much of the lighting, the electrical supplies there, but not just in the main field house, but also across the street on Delaware, where they put in the training center and the medical facility joint ventured with St. V's. We did that. Much of the multifamily around town, we've supplied a lot of the electrical, some of the plumbing, City Way. Other hospitals we've supplied. I mentioned Eskenazi, but most of IU Health projects we've supplied. The universities, we do a lot at all the universities, particularly IU and Purdue. So if you go to the Honors College, where you'll see some of the most beautiful woodwork in the state, we did all that woodwork. We fabricated all of it, and it, you know, and it's not many companies that can fabricate to that level. We fabricated the woodwork at the Kelley School of Business at IU down in Bloomington. So much of the work here at IUPUI, lighting and you name it, we've supplied. You go to Cummins, the headquarters downtown, we did all the millwork, we did all the lighting, most of the electrical supplies. We don't install, we supply to the contractor. You go to Cummins in Columbus, same thing. We supplied all of that, but again, to the contractors. Ivy Tech is a major customer, so when you see their projects around town, generally all three, sometimes my engineering company too is involved. In all that Citizens is doing, a lot of it underground, Deep Rock Tunnel, a lot of work at Belmont, Southport, water treatment facilities. My engineering company's heavily involved in all of that design. And then my supply companies, whether it's Thompson with pipe valves and fittings or First Electric with switch gear and electrical supplies, we supply a lot of those projects. AES, my engineering company, we are their structural engineering department. So anytime you're putting in heavy equipment, it's got to sit on some structural base. And if that base isn't properly designed, it's going to collapse. And so my engineering firm is their structural design department. So for AES.
For more information, visit our website, beoshow.com. When Business Equity and Opportunities returns, we turn our industry focus on advertising. We'll be right back.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Welcome back to Business, Equity, and Opportunities. It's been said that advertising to market services and goods can be traced back to the Egyptians. Advertising is an industry that touches all businesses in some way. It also evolves and reacts to the needs of customers and entrepreneurs. So what's the status of the advertising industry today?
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Industry Focus.
Deanna Hayworth, Chief Operating Officer for Hirons, shares insights into the ever-changing landscape of advertising and how it evolves to suit the needs of today's businesses.
So our industry in advertising and public relations changes every day. Probably the biggest thing that's facing our clients and our partners is just how fractured audience is now. So there are lots of media platforms, lots of different ways that people can access information.
Just like you and I, when we consume information on a daily basis, we are looking at, different channels. So we're watching television, we're driving down the road and see a billboard. We are on social media in the evening catching up with our friends, and there's all these different channels, and making sure that you're in front of the right audience in multiple ways really just plants that seed with them multiple times, and we need that recurring frequency so that when they're ready to find services with a business like yours, they know who to reach out to.
All of them can be at some cost to an advertiser, so it's really important for you to understand very distinctly your target audience, the market that you're seeking, and focus like a laser on that, because otherwise you can spend a lot of money and have waste to do something that maybe boosts your ego or tells your friends about your business, but doesn't really move the needle on your business development and growth.
I think advertising will continue to evolve. There's a time and a place to use lots of different channels, and I don't think those are going away. There were days, 10 years ago where people thought print was dead, and people thought, television, there's some cables taking the way, and there's, people are being cord cutters. So there's all these things that are being added to the mix. I don't think anything is going away. I think it's just evolving in how it's being used. So when you think about a user and how many screens they have in front of them in any given day, it's just understanding how do you get in front of the right screen at the right time.
People are consuming media, they're getting their news, they're getting information that matters to them in so many different ways. And as business leaders are trying to break through that clutter, understanding how to do that in the most direct and memorable way is tougher and tougher each day. We're really watching carefully these young audiences. So think of those 15 to 18-year-olds that you know in your life and how different their media consumption is than what we were all accustomed to even at a young age. So what are they going to look at when they're 25 and 35 years old? We need to all be pushing ahead and thinking about those media mechanisms and how we might best communicate and continue to reach our customers.
When we come back, we meet a business professional who has served as an advocate for minority businesses and nonprofits, helping them grow and navigate the economic climate. Carolyn Mosby shares her personal and professional path to success. That's next. I'm Scott Sanders. Thanks for watching this encore presentation of Business Equity and Opportunities. We hope you've learned some tips that'll help you start or grow your own business. If you'd like to catch up on past episodes or segments, watch us here every weekday or visit us at BEOshow.com. And don't forget, new episodes of Business Equity and Opportunities air every Sunday morning on WISH-TV, or you can stream it live at WISH-TV.com. Fuel your entrepreneurial spirit. Watch Business Equity and Opportunities from WISH-TV.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities.
Many successful business owners attribute their success to mentors and advisors. During the course of this show, we'll introduce you to some of them and give you a glimpse of their personal and professional success stories. Carolyn Mosby's been an advocate for minority business diversity and development most of her life. Her story may well inspire you.
This is Business, Equity, and Opportunities. Success Story.
Carolyn Mosby is an advocate for minority businesses and nonprofits. She attributes her personal and professional success to lessons learned from her mentors, including her trailblazing mother.
My very first job was with the state of Indiana, ironically with the Minority Business Development Division of the Department of Administration, which actually came about through legislation that my late mother authored in 1982. So it was Public Law 32 that established the Governor's Commission on Minority Business Development. And so that was my very first job out of college. I had the opportunity to go and work for that state agency. And from there, I left and went into the nonprofit arena, working for Indiana Black Expo as public relations director, and then transitioned into corporate America, where I spent the majority of my career in natural gas, steel, telecommunications, the IT field, doing public relations and marketing. And then a wonderful opportunity came for me to go back into the nonprofit sector as a chief marketing officer for the second largest children's service organization. So I was in charge of all global marketing and public relations for Kiwanis International, which is actually headquartered here in Indianapolis. And then finally ended up at the Mid-States Minority Supplier Development Council through an opportunity that I actually was not seeking, but two individuals from the corporate community reached out to me and thought that I would be a good leader for the organization. So I took advantage of that opportunity, and I've been here for 11 years. I think through my own journey, both personally and professionally, I lost both of my parents by the time I was 22 years old. And so just some of the things that I faced early on, while I was an adult, I still was young and very immature in some instances and didn't have the benefit of having my mother with me. But thankfully, she laid a really good foundation for me, which definitely helped me on my personal and my professional journey. But I thought that some of the lessons that I learned, some of the challenges that I experienced, I wanted to take the opportunity to share those and share with other women how I overcame them both personally and professionally. my first inclination is to say I haven't really met any challenges because of the strong foundation that I had. So I saw my mom, who was very strong and was a leader in the community and in the state, and in some instances even in the country, be someone that was not afraid to go up against a challenge. She always taught me to always speak up for myself, to never be afraid to take a position and a stand, and to go with my gut. And so I've always followed that.
But one of the other things that we have not mentioned here today that is really crucial is financial aid. That our students have loans and very unattractive financial arrangements to go to school, and that's a source of worry both for them and their parents. And we have got to do more to make scholarships or fellowships available to minority students.
And so while there may have been other people who may have thought they put roadblocks in my way, I've never been afraid to challenge anyone that I thought was misrepresenting themselves to me or trying to prevent me from being successful. So I've always approached things the way that she taught me, was to always speak up. And so I've never been afraid to do that. And so from that perspective, I think my journey has been a little different. But I will say that I did notice that being a minority, sometimes opportunities that were afforded to other individuals who may not have had as many qualifications as I had were things that I had to address. And I'll tell you that most recently, as I decided that I was going to leave my position with the council, I had a couple of opportunities where individuals kind of came to me and presented what they thought was an adequate opportunity for me, and I had to tell them I'm not interested in having a conversation about anything less than these things here, because in my career journey, I know that I am at a point where I bring a tremendous amount of experience and expertise, and any organization would be lucky to have me, and I don't have a problem saying that. So I absolutely do believe that, and I think some of it is because of either the lack of influence that many of us may have had over the years, and maybe not having really strong examples or mentors that really helped them to understand their voice, and feeling as though that it wasn't appropriate to take a certain position because of what might happen or the outcome. And you know, I've always looked at things from the perspective of people treat you the way you allow them to treat you. So if you establish boundaries and establish things up front, that changes the direction and the way that other people interact with you and the way that they accept you.
I really think the Business Equity and Opportunity show is a great idea. As an entrepreneur, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and you don't even know what questions to ask. So having a program that's going to share with you some business principles from some leaders in the community that saw their fair share of success and failure is going to help accelerate your learning curve. It's going to help you become a better business owner a lot faster.
Yeah, I can't tell you how many times I'm out in the community and people have never heard of LIST or don't know exactly what we do. And so we're grateful for segments like this because it gives us an opportunity to tell our story, but it also gives the community an opportunity to hear the story and to hear what services we provide.
When I heard about the program, I was really excited because it gives some visibility to the business community, the diverse business community, and some of the struggles, some of the opportunities. It highlights some very successful businesses that are not necessarily relying on, certification or goals from different corporations, but they actually have viable companies that can compete with other non-minority owned firms. And I think probably some of the businesses that you'll be speaking with, that will be very evident.
I love it. I love the concept of the show because I think when I heard the first about the idea, My whole thought process was this can be a platform to give, Jane Smith, Joe Smith, whoever is sitting and watching this show, just an opportunity to really look and say, maybe it's not as far as I thought. Maybe it's right within my reach if I really do assess my risk, understand how to be capitalized, and put myself in the best place to be able to work whatever plan I have. And that's what I'm hoping that anything I'm giving in this segment or anybody else is able to inspire others to do.
Giving entrepreneurs, would-be business owners, management teams, the opportunity to know where resources are, whether they be the financial resource providers or the technical assistance that companies need to put together their business plans, to work with accounting firms for their financial needs, and a myriad of other services that are all necessary for any level business to succeed and grow and thrive.
But it's for entrepreneurship. And Indiana, we've been in the bottom 3 states in terms of new business formation. And we got to move up. We can't be in the bottom 3 states. We got to strive to get to the middle and then to the upper half and then continue to strive to get higher and higher. Encourage new business formation. Entrepreneurs like me, great, but we have to have more of it and work with and get the word out that these resources are there. And that's where you all come in. And you have mouthpieces like me. I'm happy to sit down with you, but many others as well. No one can do a better job getting the word out than you guys.
Thanks again to all of our contributors this week on business equity and opportunities. We hope you found the information enlightening, useful, inspiring. Join us again next week for more insights into the world of small business on business equity and opportunities. Be sure to discover more great videos and information online at beoshow.com. We'll be adding resources, updating our segments, and telling more great stories every week. I'm Scott Sander. Thanks for watching.